Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we'll be discussing a topic that creates a lot of confusion amongst expats and foreigners living in Colombia. That is Colombian citizenship. A lot of people believe that just by marrying a Colombian or having a Colombian child, you're able to obtain it. But the reality is much different. Today, we'll be joined by one of the partners at Nexo Legal and the director of the Immigration Department, Tomás. He's been leading this department for over 6 years and helping multiple foreigners be able to obtain their visas and their citizenships. So, thank you, Tomás, for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, the first question I would like to ask you is, what's the number one mistake people make when they're applying for their citizenship?
Like the number one mistake is not planning for doing it ahead of time, right? So not planning it from the first time they are applying for their visas. Because sometimes the mistake is not in the moment they apply for it, but in the process. So that's one of the most common mistakes. But then there are some others that comes with documents that they have to place with their application, also the time they apply for it, or stuff like that.
So basically, as soon as people know that they would like to obtain a citizenship in Colombia, they should check in with someone like you or just basically verify what their plan is going to be to obtain that citizenship.
Exactly. Because it's a long process to get that citizenship because there are some previous steps that you have to take because it's not something that happens automatically because of marrying a Colombian, as you said, or because of having a Colombian children. Then there is a process before that comes with previous steps that they will have to take. So they have to plan it in advance.
Now, let's simplify this. Who can apply for a Colombian citizenship today?
Today, like you can apply for a Colombian citizenship if you are already a resident visa holder for a certain amount of time, depending on some specific circumstances. Like the general law or the general situation, it's that those who have held the resident visa for about 5 years, they can apply for their citizenship as well as their beneficiaries for saying it in some way, basically their family. In some cases, if you have a Colombian children or if you're married to a Colombian, then you can apply in 2 years. And also some people from some countries that Colombia has some treaties with, they can also apply for the citizenship like 2 years after getting the resident visa. And then also, like the Colombians who has renounced to the citizenship at some point of their life, then they can also apply for citizenship or basically get back their citizenship. That's kind of a different process, but they can also do it.
So basically, what you're saying is that if done correctly, people could obtain not only a citizenship for themselves, but also for their family and spouse.
Exactly, because the family or the beneficiaries of these resident visas, basically they follow the status of the current visa. And when the main holder lose his resident visa or her resident visa, then the beneficiaries are going to lose their visas as well. So that's why we always try to tell our clients to apply like kind of in block with their family so they all can apply for the citizenship. Then there are some like requirements that they have to comply with, some ages that your children has to have to be able to apply under you for the citizenship. But then that's also something that you have, or that's also why you have to plan ahead of time when and how to apply for your citizenship. So you don't left your family with a problem because you don't apply on the right time.
Okay, I understand. So basically, what you're saying is because the fortune of the beneficiaries' visas basically follows that of the main holder visa, it's important that everything is planned correctly. So they apply in block and then they're not left stranded whenever the main holder obtains their citizenship.
Exactly.
So you mentioned a couple of cases in which people are able to obtain their citizenship in a shorter period of time. Could you dive a little bit deeper into this?
Yeah, for sure. As told, like the general rule is that you can apply for the citizenship after 5 years of holding the resident visa. But in some cases, that time reduces to 2 years. That's the case of people who are married to a Colombian national, people who has a Colombian children, or some people that has like some citizenships that their home countries has some treaties with the Colombian government. So then they reduce the time to apply for those citizenships in both ways.
All right, so let's assume someone is just starting their process to obtain a citizenship. What's the real step by step they should be following in order to obtain that citizenship?
Okay, if we're talking of the process from zero, right, it would be starting requesting a migrant visa, then when the time comes, applying for the resident visa, then keeping that resident visa for the time is needed. That would be 2 years or 5 years. Then you have to submit the citizenship application, just as you did with your visa applications in the past. Then the Ministry of Foreign Affairs may require some additional information. They will give you about 6 months to give a response to the request they have done. And you send the new documents, they will review them. Then if everything is okay, then you will have to take a test, right? That test would be about Colombian geography, Colombian history, constitution, Colombian culture. And if your mother tongue is not Spanish, then also a Spanish test. And you can take that test twice if you fail it, like in every citizenship application. And then after you pass the test, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will send your case to several Colombian entities to verify kind of your background for taxes, for like criminal convictions or something like that, and like your immigration status mostly. Then after that, those entities will come back to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs with some information, and based on that information and the one you have provided to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they will take a decision. After the decision is made and they give you the approval for your citizenship process, then they will send your case to the regional or local authority. It could be like a mayor or it could be like a governor. It depends on the province or the department you are located, right? Then you have to go there to a citizenship oath ceremony. And then after that, you will be able to request, or you will have actually to request your Colombian cédula de ciudadanía. And then just after that, you can request your passport.
So I want to know, in your experience, what's the most expensive mistake you've witnessed someone make in the process of applying for their citizenship?
So applying for the citizenship or like the administrative fee that you have to pay for apply is not that expensive. It costs between 700 and 800,000 pesos. That's like what it costs. But then if you don't have like your documents up to date when you're applying for the citizenship, then you will have to pay more to get them on the time frame the Ministry of Foreign Affairs give you to get it. So that's when it comes new expenses on the process that you have to take care of. Requesting new documents that are already expired, or basically not complying with the requirements on time, so you have to pay again for the administrative fee. But what makes it more expensive is the time you're losing when that happens in your process, because it could be a couple months or it could be years, because this process can be really short or really long because there is not a specific time frame that it has to follow.
Okay, so what I get from what you're saying is that it's not that costly to make mistakes along the way in terms of how much you would need to pay again to apply, but it does cost a lot in terms of the time you're wasting in order to apply for that citizenship again.
Exactly.
What would be the best practices or decision that someone would make from the beginning, from applying for their visa, in order to be able to obtain a citizenship at the end of the way?
Then I would say planning 10 years or more in advance, like with the process of their visas. Because then, let's say that they have to keep their migrant visas for 5 years, then that they have to keep their resident visas for additional 5 years. So they have to get like to choose a path in which they are not having to struggle to keep their visas up to date and to apply for the new visas, or what some people call the renewals, on time, so they don't like stop or restart the time that they have to have the visa for a continuous amount of years, and then they don't lose time. Then after they request the resident visa, then they have to start planning on how long they will, or it will take them to get the citizenship. Because then you can start after 5 years of having the resident visa, but you also have to renew your resident visa with a traspaso process. So most of the times you will have to renew the visa before applying for the citizenship, or to do it while the citizenship process is in course, because then if you let your visa expire, then you won't get the citizenship because you won't be under the resident visa for a continuous amount of time. So that's basically what you have to think about when you're planning to do this or to take care of the citizenship process.
So basically, it's a lot of planning ahead, making sure that you know the path that you're about to follow before you start it, or else you'll be wasting a lot of time. So
Exactly.
I understand the idea would be basically just to talk to an expert, ideally someone from Nexo, but if not, it could be anyone else. Just be sure, make sure to talk to an expert so you're not wasting your time or your family's time while you're going ahead with this path.
Exactly.
So, once someone is eligible for a citizenship, what do they actually need in order to apply for such citizenship?
Well, like the first they will need is copies of their current visas, or the visas that they have had for the time they need to have the visa for. So basically, like let's say the last 5 years or the last 3 years. Then also a valid passport, a picture of them. They will also need like a birth certificate that has to be apostilled and duly translated by an official translator. Then the Ministry of Foreign Affairs could also ask for some additional documents, as it could be, for example, some certificate of migratory movements, last income tax declarations, criminal background checks, and stuff like that. So then, like basically, what you have to do is to show the government that you have complied with the time you have to have the resident visa before applying for the citizenship. So you prove that with your visas, with your passport, with copies of your cedulas, and then the rest of the documents that are basically like a formal requirement, so they can check all your information.
There's a lot of confusion about the exam. How hard is it really?
Okay, so the exam isn't designed to be impossible, but you have to prepare for it. Like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs give you kind of a study book that they call cartilla, that comes with all the information that is needed for like taking the exam. Not like Spanish, but for the rest of the topics, it comes with the content that you have to study from. So if you prepare it, you may pass it. Then if you lose it, you can take it for a second time. They give you a second chance to take the test. Then if you lose it for the second time, then you have to start your citizenship process from zero again. Like not losing your resident visa or anything like that, but you have to start the actual citizenship process again.
Understood. Now, honestly, how long does the process actually take?
Like the thing with these kind of processes is that there is not like a specific time frame that you have to follow to get the process finished. So it could be between 1 year to 3 or more years. And it would depends on the specific case and how many times the Ministry of Foreign Affairs comes back to you requesting for some additional information, and also how long it takes for the Colombian entities that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs sends the like your case to get back to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is usually the step of the process that takes most of the time. So it's important to have some professional accompaniment during this whole process so you can make it like the shorter possible.
Obviously, you've been helping people with these processes for over 6 years. In your experience, which has been the longest case and which has been the shortest application?
Like the shortest, I would say maybe a year and a half, and we have had some others that have taken like 4 years, but like each of them depends on like the specific process they have.
A question that comes up is if your application gets denied, can you apply again?
Like, yes, you can apply again, but if it's denied by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the president or their discretion, then you have to wait for 2 years to start the process again. But if the application is stored because of some other situation that you cannot comply with a requirement on time, that you couldn't get some documents, etc., then you have to start the citizenship application from the beginning, but it doesn't makes you wait this 2 year period time to apply again because it's not actually a denial.
What happens if you have a family? Can they apply with you?
Like there is a small difference on the kind of beneficiary you have. Like if your beneficiaries are underage, then you can extend your application for the citizenship to them. Then if your beneficiaries are over 18 years old, as your spouse or some like overage children, then you have to apply with them for the citizenship kind of separately, but telling the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that all the family is applying for that.
And when you obtain Colombian citizenship, do you lose your original nationality?
It depends on your original nationality because Colombia allows double citizenship, but there are some countries that doesn't or that don't, right? So it will be more like it will depends more on the other country law than actually to like what Colombia says.
All right, so to wrap things up, if someone wanted to do things right from the beginning, when would be a good time to consider obtaining legal advice?
From the very beginning, from when he thinks or he or she thinks to start requesting a migrant visa. Because as we have talked, it's a long way that they will have to go through. And then if they know like how to make those steps, like it will make like the whole process easier for them.
So, what would you say would be the main difference between doing this alone and having a strategy from the beginning?
Then that you will know like which documents could be requested to you, like you will know how to get them, approximately how much it will cost, like the time frame that you will have to get to the goal you have, like if it's the resident visa, if it's the citizenship, and then to avoid any kind of inconvenience, surprises, extra cost that you will realize that you will have it as you go with the process.
So, as we can see, getting a Colombian citizenship is definitely possible, but it doesn't happen automatically. It requires time and planning. And many people make that precise mistake. They try to improvise, they make things at the last minute. So you want to make sure that you speak with a professional beforehand. It all comes down to making sure to avoid mistakes in order to save time and ultimately have someone that can give you clarity along the way in these very important processes that you're about to face. Tomás, thank you for joining us. I'm sure this video will be very helpful for a lot of people.
Thank you as well for inviting me, and it has been a pleasure to be here with you.
And if you're thinking about starting your path to Colombian citizenship, make sure to plan ahead. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.